We began to develop a program that we called back in 1986 Operation Brightside. And Operation Brightside was a program in 1986 that was focused on beautification, was focused on getting neighbors involved and businesses involved and nonprofits involved in cleaning up the community, which you have, I noticed, quarterly. We do several times beyond the quarter, but we get, last time we had almost 11,000 people show up on a Saturday in their respective neighborhoods to clean up and beautify the areas that are important to them. And ultimately, we also had an education component to go into the schools in the 3rd grade and the 5th grade and see if maybe we could teach environmental stewardship so that the young kids of then, who are going to become the adults of tomorrow, will maybe be a little better stewards of this earth than we and our parents and our grandparents have been. We did it as a public-private partnership. We literally created a situation where the government said, look, we'll cover the administrative overhead, but we have got to have private sector investment. And we'll make a commitment to anybody who gives $1, it will go to, and then you fill in the blank. It goes to flowers, it goes to bushes, it goes to gloves, it goes to rakes, it goes to all the kinds of things that you would need to be able to have this volunteer, energized organization. And we started in the neighborhoods, but then we quickly realized that the entranceway and exit ways in and out of our community were so important. So we went out and we began to develop landscaping designs for the ingress and egress in and out of Louisville. And developed those, went out and raised the private money for those, and then we did the work through city government and county government to be able to put them into the ground and to get commitments from the surrounding businesses to keep them watered. And we promised we'd come back to be able to then pick up from time to time the kind of trash that might literally have been blown into the area. We also realized that the importance of the expressways. I went to a guy named David Jones. Mr. Kegel, you know who he is, one of the 2 founders of Humana. And I said, you know, we want to plant daffodils. And I see where you all have done that as a part of the P.R.I.D.E approach. We want to place them in the middle of the expressways. We want them to come up every spring. We want people to smile as they're coming into the city and leaving the city looking at those daffodils. And he said to me, well, fine, we'll do it 1 year, and then you rotate it through the rest of the companies in town. And so we got a chunk of change, and we put in our first 100,000 daffodils. We now have 1.6 million daffodils planted throughout Louisville and Jefferson County. And the great story is that when we started our program called Brightside, and as I said to you, government said, we'll handle the administrative costs of the people answering the phones and things of that nature, but we're going to raise private money, and we assure you that every $1 you give will be $1 that will be invested in the beautification and cleaning up of our community. And what we ultimately did as a result was we went out that first year I was mayor and asked we have what I'm sure you call, I'm sure you do the same thing. We call them the usual suspects, Tommy. You call the usual suspects, and you get them to a meeting, and you say, okay, guys and gals, we need a few bucks. We're going to start this program. We're all going to feel good about ourselves. It's going to show pride. It's going to show discipline. It's going to let folks know how important our community is and how we as a community care so much for it. And we literally asked each of them to put up X number of dollars, and we said over the next 4 or 5 years, we will wean you off your commitment because we'll broaden the base. And that's exactly what we did. We hit it big, using the money from the 5 or 6 corporations that wrote a check and gave us the chance to kick it off. And then each year thereafter, we started getting $5 from this person, $100 from that person, and began to develop the program so that everybody felt like they were a stakeholder in the ultimate outcome of what was being rolled out for our hometown. And literally, that's exactly what happened. And then we went around the room and we said, okay, it was $10,000 for 100,000 daffodils back in those days. So $10,000, Humana put up the first 10,000. And then the second, we said we're going to go around and ask everybody of the usual suspects to give us the money the next year for the daffodils and the next year. Well, one of the other co-founders of Humana, a guy named Wendell Cherry, was one day in my office, and he was talking about how beautiful the daffodils were. And I said, well, those are your daffodils. Humana paid for those daffodils. Thank you very much. But I said, by the way, I've talked to your partner, and he said, you know, you're good for daffodils one year, but go ahead and find one of the other usual suspects to put up next year's $10,000. So I said, you're not, you know, so we're now looking for somebody else to put up the money. Within 20 minutes, I got a call from Humana saying, we're good for 10 grand to put up the second year and the third year, and they have continued to do just that. So the bottom line is, does it matter? Yeah, I'll show you how it matters. Back in the old days when we used to be a major tobacco state, you remember those days, Mr. Kegel? We had Marlboro cigarettes being rolled in Louisville, had about 3,000 people making rolling Marlboro cigarettes, and they always had a big derby event. And one year they brought the guy in from Germany, who developed the machine that made the Reynolds wrap inside the carton of a pack of cigarettes. And we showed him a pretty good time in our community. And he sent me a note when he got back to Germany saying thank you. And he said, you know, I'd like to do something for your community because I found you all so welcoming. I found the community, I heard this from Europeans throughout the last 20 years. I found your community so clean and so beautiful in terms of everything that was blooming in the spring. I'd like to do something for you. So I said, well, we have this program called Brightside. You know, how about helping us out? He sent me a check for $50,000. So I looked at it and I thought, this must be too many zeros. I mean, this must be $500. Somebody must have gotten something wrong. So I called out to Philip Morris. They said, no, the guy can afford it. They probably meant 50 grand. So we went and cashed it very quickly. So what did we do with the 50 grand? Again, going back to entryways and exitways on the expressways in and out for that first impression. I don't know how many of you have flown in and out of Louisville, but when you get to the airport, as you come out into the expressway, there was a huge patch of rock and dirt, and it just was very unattractive right along the Waterston Expressway as you came out to get up on 65. So we took that $50,000, we gave it to the airport. They completely landscaped the area. They've got a little bit of a plaque that says Brightside and the name of the company in Germany that you can't see. You assume we did it. And literally, as you come out of that airport now, as you come into our community, just as you come in off the expressways, you have this beautiful site that has all this green and all this color and all this landscaping that is so special. And it sets a tone. You know, I cannot tell you how many times I have spoken, especially from people in either New York, LA, Chicago, Atlanta, or especially throughout Europe, who would come into our community and remark about how beautiful it was and how clean it was. Well, those things don't happen by accident. They happen because people like yourselves and the colleagues that you have back in your businesses and your neighborhoods are the ones that literally say, we want to carry the message that we love being a part of the greater Owensboro area. We want people to feel good when they come into our community. We have great pride in our hometown, and we want to roll that carpet out to give people that feeling. So when things bloom in the fall, when the blooming occurs in the spring, when folks go down the streets and they don't see trash, those kinds of things end up making a significant difference. And you'd be surprised the number of people throughout your community who would be willing to be a part of the team to finance and support the efforts. So as I look, what you all, I mean, you're working on downtown riverfront plan. You're working on the encouraging public participation. You're working on getting speakers in to push the envelope. You know, that's the other thing you need to continue to do. Don't accept mediocrity. Push that envelope every time you can. Every time you're in a position to be able to say something about architecture, open space, landscaping, those make the difference in a community. And those send out a message about how you feel about your hometown. But if you simply step back, at least in my experience, mediocrity will just sort of fill the gap. And better you stay involved, better you stay engaged, and create the kind of place that you can feel so good about, so positive about, that makes an ultimate difference. To me, that's what it's about. And your organization is right on target. And you can tweak it here, or you can tweak it there. You've got the landscape folks that are working with you, I know, on the waterfront. You've got the people that are focusing on your Gateway Park. You've got your River Center. I mean, there's so many positive things that are going on. Just pull it together. Broaden the base. You've got to broaden the base. You've got to carry the message. You've got to go out and preach the gospel, literally, to others, to let them know how important this is to the overall atmosphere and energy and vitality of your community. And using that, along with supporting the quality of life issues and supporting education, you put all that together, you've got a tremendous opportunity to be incredibly even more successful than you have been for the future of the greater Owensboro area. So I thank you for the opportunity to stop by. I wish you well. You've had such great leadership in this community for so many, many years. And with the Hager's commitment and the kind of commitment that all of you have made of your time and of your energy, there's no reason to think that it won't continue to grow and to expand. And I hope that somewhere along the line, maybe if state government ever gets any more money, Senator, that maybe we can be a partner. Maybe we can, he's going to write me a check. Maybe we can be a partner and try to help ourselves to be able to support the efforts that cities and counties and communities are doing now to say, we really appreciate who we are. We want to share that energy and share that feeling with as many folks as we possibly can. Thank you all very much.